The keys hit the asphalt before I even saw them fall. My hands were full, like always at the end of a Tuesday. A styrofoam cup of break room coffee in my left hand, the kind that goes cold by 3 and grows a thin, oily film on top. My purse on my shoulder, sliding down, a white CVS bag in my right hand with 3 sample tubes of toothpaste for my nephew Eli, because hygienists always take the samples home, and my sister Maddie says he likes the bubblegum one. The keys made a small, sharp sound on the parking lot of the strip mall, late October, the kind of evening where the sky goes pink early and the wind smells like other people's leaves burning, even though nobody is supposed to burn leaves anymore in our part of Ohio. I bent down to pick them up. That was when I saw the wheel. A polished black wheel, 2 spaces over from my 2014 Honda Civic, with 140,000 miles on it, and a small dent in the back bumper from a Kroger cart last winter. The Audi was new, or close to it. I could see the leather shoe stepping out. Brown, expensive, the kind of shoe nobody at our clinic owns. Christina Becker. I thought that was you. I knew the voice before I knew the face. That is a strange thing to say, but it's true. My body remembered the voice from a school hallway in 2011 before my brain caught up. By the time I stood up with my keys, my stomach had already tightened. Samuel Caldwell. He was softer now. There was a small belly under his half-zip pullover. His hair was the same color it used to be, but there was a little gray at the temples, and the temples themselves had moved back a little. Wedding ring gone, but I could still see the pale stripe on his finger where it used to be. Samuel. I made my voice sound surprised, but only a little. Wow. Hi. You look the same, he said. That was a lie, and we both knew it. But it was the kind of lie you don't correct. I held up my keys, like I had something to do, which I did. I had to feed Biscuit and reheat the chili from Sunday, and watch a Hallmark movie that Robert's mom had recommended at lunch on the phone. I had a whole evening waiting for me. I felt it pulling at my sleeve. "What are you doing here?" I said. "Meeting at the bank across the lot," he said. He pointed. "Saw your name on Facebook. A wedding post, I think. Stacy Brennan's wedding? I started thinking about you. I felt a small flicker of something in my chest. Pride, maybe. The embarrassing kind. The kind I didn't want to feel. In the spring of senior year, in a hallway with white tile and a chip near the corner of locker 214, Samuel Caldwell had told a friend about me. She's cute, but she's not really my type. I was supposed to be walking past. I was. I heard the whole thing. I went into the bathroom and stayed there until the bell. I have not thought about that hallway tile in years, or so I tell myself, which is the same thing as thinking about it all the time, only quietly. He smiled. The same smile, a little less sure of itself now, which somehow made it worse. "Hey," he said. "You want to grab coffee sometime? Just to catch up. I haven't seen anyone from Westerville in years." "I have a boyfriend," I said. "Too fast." He laughed. "Easy. Coffee, Christina. Not a marriage proposal." I laughed too, before I could stop myself. That is the part I keep going back to, later. Not that I gave him my number. Not that I stood there in the parking lot of a strip mall while my coffee went colder. The laugh. I gave him the laugh first, and then I gave him the number. "I'll text you," he said. No pressure. Just coffee. Sure, I said. Just coffee. I told myself, walking to my car, that I would tell Robert about it tonight, just casually. Hey, you'll never guess who I ran into. A guy from high school. He drives an Audi now. Isn't that ridiculous? I rehearsed the sentence in my head while I unlocked the door. I got the tone right. Light. A little funny. Not a big deal. I did not tell Robert tonight. I drove home to my one-bedroom apartment near the Kroger Plaza, the one that costs me $1,250 a month, and Robert was already there because I had given him a key in August. He had let himself in and started reheating the chili from Sunday, which is always better on day 2. He kissed me on the side of the head and said his day had been long. 2 claims for the same fender bender, both drivers lying in different ways. Biscuit, the cat he brought into the relationship, climbed onto my chest the second I sat on the couch. He's a heavy cat. Robert says he's not fat, just dense, which is the kind of thing Robert says. We watched the Hallmark movie. A woman went back to her hometown. There was a Christmas tree farm. Robert fell asleep with his hand on my knee around the part where the woman's old crush turned out to own the Christmas tree farm. I stared at the ceiling. The fan was a little crooked. I had been meaning to ask the landlord about it since June. I thought about the hallway tile from 2011. I thought about it for a long time. In the morning, between 2 patients, my phone buzzed in my back pocket. I checked it at the front desk, where Megan, our office manager, was eating yogurt out of the cup with a plastic spoon and not looking. It was a picture from Samuel. Just a coffee mug. No words. The mug was on a desk I didn't recognize, near a window with good light. I felt my face get warm. I put the phone face down on the counter, screen against the wood. Like that would help. Megan looked up. You okay? Yeah, I said. Just hot in here. It's like 68 degrees, she said. I know, I said. Weird. Right. I went to get the next patient. The phone stayed face down on the counter for the rest of the morning. I knew exactly where it was the whole time.
Oh my gosh, sunflowers, they're beautiful.
I remembered they were your favorite.
You remembered, thank you.
Of course. Come here.
I love them, I love you.
The phone buzzed on a Saturday morning, face down on the bedside table. I let it ring twice before I flipped it over. Robert was already gone. He played co-rec softball on Saturday mornings in a league that took itself only half seriously, with shirts that said things like electric eels and Dunder Mifflin. Even though we lived nowhere near Pennsylvania, he left at 7. He always kissed the top of my head on the way out, even if he thought I was sleeping. The first time I met Samuel for coffee, it was the next Wednesday at lunch, a Starbucks in a strip mall not far from the clinic. I told myself it was just a coffee. I had told myself that so many times by then that the words had gone flat in my mouth. He listened. That was the dangerous part. Robert listens too, but Robert has heard most of my stories already because we have been together for 7 months. And we eat dinner together almost every night. Samuel hadn't heard any of them. He asked about the clinic. He asked about Maddie's pregnancy, which was due in February. He asked about my mom's diabetes, which has been there for 11 years, but is harder to manage now. He asked these questions like he had just discovered them, like they were interesting, like I was interesting. I knew what was happening. I want to be clear about that. I knew that he was performing interest, and I knew that I was eating it like a meal I had been hungry for without admitting it. I'm telling you this so you don't think I was naive. I wasn't. I was something worse than naive. I was awake. I didn't tell Robert. Samuel started texting me in the evenings. Funny things, mostly. A song from 2011 came on the radio. He'd send a photo of his car stereo, a picture of his dog, a chocolate lab named Murphy, a meme about Ohio weather. Nothing dirty. Nothing he couldn't show in court, if it ever came to that. I read them in the bathroom while Robert watched. The Browns lose to whoever was on TV that week. I would type a reply, delete it, type it again, send something shorter than I meant to send. Then sit on the closed lid of the toilet for a minute before I came back out. Everything okay? Robert would say. Yeah, I'd say. Just my mom. It wasn't my mom. One Tuesday at the clinic, between cleanings, I had a small flashback I hadn't planned for. I was washing my hands at the sink, and the water was too cold, and suddenly I was 17 again, in the school bathroom near the gym, hiding in the second-to-last stall. I had heard Samuel say it to his friends. About me. She's nice. She's just not, you know. Not what? I have spent 14 years trying to fill in that blank. Not pretty enough. Not cool enough. Not from the right family. Not the right kind of thin. Not the right kind of confident. Not the right kind of girl who knows what to do with a boy like Samuel Caldwell. I have a list. The list is long, and I keep adding to it, even when I don't want to. And now he was the one calling me, texting me, sending me coffee mugs through a screen. The girl in the bathroom stall would have lost her mind. The woman at the sink in the clinic just turned the water off and dried her hands on a paper towel and went to get the next patient. The thing I'm most embarrassed about is the flowers. It was a Friday in the middle of the second week. I came home and Robert had stopped at Trader Joe's on his way over. He had the sunflowers, the ones that are $5.99 wrapped in brown paper, because I had said once, offhand, 3 months ago, that sunflowers made me feel like fall. He remembered. He always remembered things like that, and most of the time I loved him for it. I kissed him on the cheek and felt guilty. Then I felt irritated about the guilt. Then I felt irritated at Robert for being so easy to lie to, which is one of the worst things I have ever felt about a person. And I want to say I didn't feel it for long, but I did. Why doesn't he ever ask anything hard? That was the thought. I knew it wasn't fair. I thought it anyway. The third week, Samuel asked me to dinner. Not coffee, a real restaurant, white tablecloth, downtown. He said it carefully, in a text. I'm not asking you to do anything wrong. Just dinner. I said yes. The day I was supposed to go, Robert's mom called him. She had fallen on the sidewalk, taking out the recycling, and she thought she might have broken her wrist. Robert went to the ER with her. He texted me from the waiting room. Sorry, gonna be a long night. Don't wait up. I sent back a heart emoji. Then I put on the dress I hadn't worn since Maddie's bridal shower in May, the blue one from a thrift store on High Street, with a small, loose thread by the zipper that I kept meaning to fix and never did. I drove downtown, into the parking garage on East Gay Street, 3 levels up, because the lower levels were full. I sat in the car after I parked. The garage smelled like old concrete and gasoline. I could hear someone 2 cars over having an argument on speakerphone in another language. My phone buzzed. Robert. A photo. His mom on the ER bed, giving a thumbs up, her hair flattened on one side. The caption said, "She's tougher than I am. Love you. Eat something." I read it 3 times. Then I sat in the car for 90 more seconds. I counted. I don't know why I counted. Then I got out. I walked to the elevator. I pushed the button. I went down to the street. I went to dinner. You always wanted me to ask, didn't you? Back in school. That was the line. He said it across the second glass of wine, leaning forward a little, like he was giving me a gift. We were in a steakhouse downtown, the kind with white tablecloths and a low buzzing sound from the kitchen, and water glasses with little slices of cucumber in them. Samuel had ordered for both of us. A steak I would not have picked, and a wine I had never heard of, with a name I couldn't pronounce. He had asked me what I wanted, but only after he had already told the waiter what we were having, and then he laughed and said, "Sorry, you trust me, right?" And the waiter waited politely while I said yes. For the first 19 minutes, Samuel did not ask me a single question. I didn't time it on purpose. I just noticed. He talked about his divorce. His ex-wife was, in his telling, cold. He used the word twice. The first time it sounded like a description. The second time, it sounded like an accusation he had practiced. He talked about his father's company, which was now his company, and the building he had just bought near Polaris that he was going to lease to a chiropractor. He talked about his Audi, briefly, like he was embarrassed about it but also wanted me to know how much it cost. Then, on his 11th sip of the second wine, he said the line, "You always wanted me to ask, didn't you?" Back in school. He was smiling. Not a mean smile, a pleased one. He thought he was giving me something I had wanted for 14 years. The strangest part is that he was right. Or he had been right until about 3 minutes before he said it. The girl in the school bathroom in 2011 had wanted exactly this. The woman across the table from him in 2024 was watching. That girl shrink to the size of a quarter and slide off the table. It didn't feel like vindication. It felt like he was handing me a present I had already paid for, with my own money, 14 years ago. I looked at him then, really looked. He wasn't a villain. I want to be honest about that. He was just a man who had gotten divorced and gotten bored, and he was rebuilding his ego on the back of a girl who had once thought he was God in a Letterman jacket. That was all. It wasn't even cruel. It was just small. I made myself stay polite through dessert. I said the right things. He paid the bill, which was a lot, and made sure I saw the number before he flipped the leather folder closed. He said, "Come back to my place for a drink." "No," I said. "I should go home." "Come on, Christina. It's early." "No," I said again, more firmly this time. "I'm going home." He didn't say anything. He smiled, like he was charmed by my no. As we walked out, his hand went to the small of my back, low, just above the waistband of the dress. I felt my shoulders go tight. I stepped a little to the side, and his hand fell away, and he didn't put it back, but he didn't apologize either. In the parking garage, I sat in my Civic with the engine off for a long time before I turned the key. The garage was almost empty by then. The lights buzzed. I had 3 texts from Robert. The photo from earlier, his mom, and the thumbs up. Then, got home, Mom is fine, just a bad sprain. Then, last, hope your night is going okay. That was the one that broke something in me. Not in a good way, either, because he didn't suspect. He didn't suspect at all. And somehow, that was worse than if he had. If he had been jealous, I could have been angry back. I could have made it his fault. But he was just sitting at home in his sister's old hoodie, hoping my night was going okay. I drove home. Robert was asleep on the couch with Biscuit on his stomach. He was still in his work clothes. The TV was on low, some late-night talk show with the laugh track turned almost all the way down. He had stopped at the Kroger by our apartment on his way home from the ER and bought my favorite kind of yogurt, the small Greek ones, 4 cups for $5. There was a paper bag on the kitchen counter with a Post-it on it. The Post-it said, "For the morning." I put the bag in the fridge. I closed the door quietly so the magnets wouldn't rattle. That was when I saw the shoebox. It was on the dining table, half tucked under his open laptop. He used the laptop for fantasy football and for the spreadsheet where he tracked our shared expenses. I saw the corner of the box first. Then I saw what was inside the corner. A smaller box. Velvet. Dark blue. I did not open it. I want to say that clearly. I did not open the velvet box. I did not need to. What I saw was the paper sticking out from underneath. A printout from a jewelry store at Easton. A financing plan. 12 months. $94 a month. The total at the bottom was underlined in pen. Twice. By Robert himself. The way he always underlined numbers when he was checking the math. I knew his handwriting. I knew his rent. I knew his car payment, which was almost done but not quite, on the Subaru. I knew what he made because we had talked about money in August. When we first started splitting groceries, I did the addition before I could stop myself. He didn't have 94 extra dollars a month. He had it, but he didn't have it. He was making it work. He had been making it work for some weeks, probably, while I was meeting Samuel for coffee. I closed the shoebox. I slid it back under the laptop the way it was. I sat down on the floor, next to the couch. Biscuit lifted his head, looked at me with his slow yellow eyes, and put his head back down on Robert's stomach. I didn't feel saved. I want to say that. I didn't feel like I had been rescued from a mistake. I felt worse, actually, because I still didn't know if I was choosing Robert or just running back from Samuel because Samuel had turned out to be hollow. I wanted to know the difference. I wasn't sure I did. Robert stirred. He half opened his eyes, saw me on the floor in the dress, and smiled, sleepy and slow. "You look really nice," he said. "Robert," I said, "we have to talk tomorrow." He blinked. He was more awake now. But he didn't sit up. He didn't ask what about. He just nodded and said, "Okay, tomorrow." That made it worse somehow. The not asking. I sat on the floor in the dress until Biscuit fell back asleep, and then, a little after that, and then I went to the bedroom and changed into a t-shirt and lay on top of the covers without getting under them, and I waited for the morning. The way you wait for a dentist appointment, you have been putting off for a year. Two coffee mugs on the kitchen table on Sunday morning. One said "World's Okayest Uncle," a gift from Robert's sister Linda for his 32nd birthday. The other was plain white. Mine, from a 4-pack at Target. I had been up since 6. I made the coffee too strong, then added water, which Robert says is a sin, but he wasn't there to see it. He came out at 7:30, his hair flat from sleeping on the couch, in the hoodie that said Ohio Electric Eel Tournament 2019. The hoodie was soft from years of washes. There was a small Sharpie stain on the left sleeve from when he had helped his nephew label boxes for a yard sale and hadn't realized the cap was loose. He sat down. He wrapped both hands around the OK's uncle mug. He waited. I told him. I told him most of it. The parking lot, the black Audi, the first text with the coffee mug, the Wednesday lunch at Starbucks, the texts in the evening while he was watching the Browns, the dinner downtown, Samuel's hand on my back, saying no, driving home. I did not tell him I had gone to dinner on the night his mom was in the ER. I meant to. I want to say that. I got right up to it. I felt the sentence coming, the way you feel a sneeze coming, and then I swallowed it. I told myself I would say it next, after the next sentence. Then, after the next one. By the time I finished, the moment had passed. I had told the story without it. The story made sense without it. He didn't need to know. That is what I told myself. I am not proud of it. I'm telling you anyway. Robert did not interrupt me. Not once. He just held his mug. When I was done, he looked at the table for a long time, and I watched the steam come up from his coffee, which had gone almost still by then. "Did you want to go to dinner with him?" he said. "Yes," I said, because that I would not lie about. That part felt important to keep clean. He nodded. He looked at the table. "Okay," he said. I waited for the question, the one I had been ready for all night, the one about the timing, the one about why I had gone on the night his mom fell. I had answers ready. None of them were good, but I had them. I had been arranging them in my head since 4 in the morning. He didn't ask. I watched his face. I saw him decide. It happened in maybe 90 seconds, while he stared at the wood grain of the kitchen table. He decided he was not going to ask. He decided that whatever the answer was, it would break something he could not fix. Or maybe he decided that he loved me in a way that did not require a complete confession. I almost told him anyway. I almost said, "Robert, there's one more thing. Just to be honest." I didn't. I sat there with my mouth closed, and my hands wrapped around the white mug, and I let him not ask. I don't know if that was love or cowardice, from him or from me. I'm still not sure. Some days I think one thing. Some days I think the other. I told him I wanted to figure things out, but not without him. I told him I did not want Samuel. I told him I wanted the life that smelled like his terrible chili, and the laundry detergent he had used since college, the green one in the big plastic jug. I told him I was sorry. He didn't say it was okay. He didn't say he forgave me. He said, "I know." That was all. That night, after Robert had gone to bed early, my phone buzzed on the counter. "Samuel, when can I see you again?" I typed a long answer. I deleted it. I typed a shorter one. I deleted that too. In the end, I sent 2 words. "You can't." Then I blocked his number. I did it quickly, before I could change my mind. I didn't tell Robert I had to do it. I just did it. A week passed. Things were not perfect. Robert was quieter than he had been before. He still reached for me in his sleep, his hand finding my arm in the middle of the night, but during the day, he didn't reach for me as much. I had to earn it back. I knew that. I was prepared to. I made the chili the way his mom made it, with too much cumin and a little burnt at the bottom of the pot, the way she does it on purpose, because she says it tastes more like home. I drove him to the appointments for his mom's wrist. The PT was $40 a copay, 3 times a week. For 3 weeks, I sat in the waiting room and read old magazines about boating, even though none of us own a boat. I listened. I had not been listening before. I want to be honest about that. I had been hearing him without listening. There is a difference. I started listening again. It was harder than I thought it would be. In mid-November, Samuel messaged me on Instagram. I had blocked his number, but I had not thought about Instagram. He sent a long apology. He said he had been wrong to push. He said I had been right to leave. He said he hoped I was happy. He didn't ask me to write back. I read it twice. I believed him. That made it worse, in a small way, because it meant I had not chosen Robert because Samuel was a bad man. Samuel was just a man. He was not even a particularly bad one. He was lonely and a little shallow and had not yet figured out who he was at 36, and he had been trying to use me to figure it out, which is rude but not evil. I had chosen Robert because Robert was my man. There was no easy villain to make the choice for me. I had to make it myself. I had to keep making it. I didn't reply to Samuel. I archived the message. I didn't tell Robert about it either. There are some things I keep, not as lies, but as my own small private weight to carry. I think he knows they exist. I think he has decided not to look for them. I think that, too, is a kind of love.
Hey, sleepyhead.
Hey, how long was I out?
Not too long, I missed you.
I missed you too. Come here.
3 months later, late January. The cold was the dry, mean kind that gets in your gloves before you've made it across a parking lot. Robert and I drove out to his sister Linda's house in Pickerington for a Sunday afternoon. Linda had made chili. The Becker family runs on chili the way some families run on lasagna. The Browns were on the TV in the living room, losing again, which was so normal that nobody was even mad about it. Linda's son Caleb, 5 years old, was running around with a foam sword and using it on every adult he could reach. Robert was quiet that afternoon. I noticed, but tried not to notice. He had been quiet on and off for 3 months. A different kind of quiet than before, like he was working something out. He came up behind me in the kitchen while I was rinsing my bowl. "Hey," he said, "you want to come out on the porch for a minute?" My shoulders went tight. Old reflex, the same one I had felt in the parking garage on East Gay Street. I made myself breathe out. I dried my hands on the towel by the sink. "Sure," I said. The back porch was small and wood and old. It looked out over a yard with a swing set Linda's husband had built himself, and a bird feeder that was empty because the squirrels kept eating everything. I could smell wood smoke from a neighbor's fire pit, the kind of smell I have known my whole life. November and January and February in suburban Ohio, and the smell of someone burning wood somewhere down the street. Robert leaned on the porch railing. I leaned next to him. He didn't look at me. "I know you saw the box," he said. "The one in the shoebox. Back in October." I felt my whole chest go cold. I figured you saw it, he said. You were weird the next morning. You're never weird in the morning. I didn't know what to say. I waited. I haven't bought it yet, he said. I had it picked out. I had the financing set up. After you told me about the guy, I told myself I'd return everything. I called the store. They said I had 30 days. I let the 30 days go by and never went in. But I kept the box. He pulled a small velvet box out of his jacket pocket. The same one, or a box that looked just like it. He opened it. It was empty. I don't want to ask you because I'm scared, he said. I'm scared you'll leave again. If I ask now, I'll be asking out of the scared part, and you deserve better than that. So I want to wait until I'm not scared anymore. And I don't know how long that's going to be. Could be a month. Could be a year. He paused. He still wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the empty bird feeder. So this is me telling you, he said. I'm gonna ask. I don't know when. But I wanted you to know it's coming. So you can decide what your answer is before I ask. So when I do ask, you're not surprised. So you're not, caught. He finally looked at me. It was the strangest, most Robert thing he had ever done. I want to write that I knew exactly how to react, but I didn't. I laughed. Then I cried a little. Then I laughed again, and it was a wet laugh, and my nose was running because of the cold. My answer is yes, I said. Whenever you decide to ask, it's yes. He almost smiled. Then he shook his head. Don't tell me ahead of time, he said. I want to be surprised, too. That was a joke. It was also not. I knew the difference. So did he. He pocketed the empty box, and he reached over and pulled me into his shoulder. And I cried a little more into the front of his coat, which smelled like the cedar chips he kept in the closet, because he had read once that they kept moths away. We went back inside. Caleb hit Robert in the leg with the foam sword the second he came through the door. Robert fell down dramatically, sprawled out on the carpet, while Caleb laughed so hard he got the hiccups. Biscuit, who had come along in his carrier because Robert hated leaving him alone overnight, watched from the back of Linda's couch, with his tail twitching once. I ate a second bowl of chili. It was a little burnt at the bottom, like Robert's mom makes it, though Linda swears she doesn't do it on purpose. I am not going to tell you I was happy in the way movies promise. I wasn't. I was happy in a smaller way. The kind of happy that is still there in the morning. The kind of happy nobody writes a song about, because there is nothing dramatic to put in the chorus. Just a Sunday afternoon, and a foam sword, and the sound of a dishwasher starting in the next room. I thought about Samuel once, just once. Briefly. Not with regret. Just as a man I had once almost let pull me backwards into a hallway from 2011, where I would have stayed forever if I'd let him. I picked the man who waits. The man who is scared the right way. The man who lets me be ordinary with him. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't have to. Later, in the kitchen, I leaned in the doorway and watched Robert carry Caleb upstairs to bed because Linda was on the phone with their mom and her husband was outside dragging the trash cans down the driveway. Caleb was almost asleep already. The foam sword was sticking out of the back pocket of Robert's jeans, blue plastic, a little bent at the tip from being whacked against a coffee table. The dishwasher hummed. Outside, snow had started, but it wasn't sticking yet.
That empty velvet box on the porch. I wasn't ready for that. I want to be surprised too. That lie. Robert knew the whole time and still chose to wait. That's not naive. That's someone who understood exactly what he was doing. Honestly, I kept waiting for the story to punish Christina harder. It didn't, and I think that's more honest than if it had. The firm sword in his back pocket at the end got me more than the proposal scene. Tell me what got you, and I will read them all. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.